Hello everyone. So today we're gonna do the 4-hour work week book summary. This is probably gonna be the first part because it's a pretty long summary. Okay, I made sure to include only the things I thought would be relevant to the viewers. Okay, for success. So let's begin. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Okay, and let's do this. Okay. So we start off with rules and what to avoid. Okay. Um, so you need to be cautious. Okay. Money is multiplied in practical value depending on the number of W's you control in your life. What you do, when you do it, where you do it, and whom you do it with. So Tim tells us to be cautious. Okay. Okay. 1 second. Tim called this the freedom multiplier. By the way, the book is by Tim Ferriss, if I haven't mentioned. The reality is that you have options, you have the ability to choose, and Tim emphasizes that this is a real power within you. Okay? So let's move on. The rules. Tim outlined 10 rules. Let's read them. The first one, retirement is worst case scenario insurance. Okay. So you shouldn't rely on the retirement plan, okay? Because no one knows if you live that long, first of all. And you can only count on yourself, really. Okay, number two. Interest and energy are cyclical. The best way to make your life maintainable is to have different cycles. These will alternate between rest and work activity. Essentially, plan mini retirements throughout your life. Why wait to the end of your life? Okay. This will mean that when you are in cycle of work, you work at your full potential, then allow yourself the rest required when you have a break. It's sustainable and optimal. So basically, don't wait to retirement. Make a mini retirement plan, okay? And make sure you cycle the work and you balance it with the rest, okay? Number three, less is not laziness. People assume that by doing less you are lazy. That's not true. You should break down this barrier. Okay, number four, the timing is never right. That's just an excuse because the time may never come. Okay, you need to act now. You can't wait till the time it's perfect because it never is actually. Just take small actions at a time. Number five, ask for forgiveness, not permission. So basically, it means that first you do the act that you want, and then you ask for, then you apologize if it doesn't work. Okay, you don't warn the people that you're gonna do something before you do it. This way, they won't prevent you from actually doing it. You won't go anywhere that way. Number six, emphasize strengths, don't fix weaknesses. So make the stuff that you are already good at better. Don't invest time in the stuff that you suck. Just get other people that are good at it to do it. Improving a weakness may only ever bring mediocrity, where improving upon a strength can bring greatness. Okay. Number seven. Things in excess become their opposite. So don't. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing. So make sure you balance the stuff. Okay. Number eight. Money alone is not the solution. Too much money can be a problem. Okay. So don't always count on money to save you. Number nine. Relative income is more important than absolute income. because it has two variables, the dollar and the time. So if someone make 5,000 a year, but he makes them 1 day at a time, and somebody else make it in 1 month, but the rest of the month he take a rest, that someone is richer actually, because it's relative, and he does it in 1 month. Okay. So number 10, Eddie actually gets to rest. Okay. So number 10, the stress is bad. You need to find role models who push you beyond upper limits and help you grow. So now we're going to talk about fear. That was the 10 rules. Okay. Fear. I mentioned it a lot, that it's false expectations appears real. Okay. Most people avoid the concept of fear and pretend it's something else altogether. They deny the fear and remain optimistic. Second. Someone who's unhappy but avoid quitting their job. The work will improve in time, or they will continue to deny their unhappiness and remain optimistic that the work will improve in time or their income will increase. So basically they're in denial. Okay. Here are some steps to eliminate fear. Number 1, face your nightmare and define what it is exactly. Consider what is the absolute worst thing that could happen. So basically you define the worst case scenario. Okay. Number 2, identify what you could do in order to fix or repair the worst case scenario. So you can do it with pen and paper. Okay, write it down and figure out the solution to the fear. Okay, to the worst case scenario, that is. Okay, number 3, define what the benefits, either temporary or permanent, that are likely outcomes of the scenario you're considering. So you gotta make sure there are also benefits to the worst case scenario, and you need to recognize them, so it motivates you to face the fear. Okay. Number 4, ask yourself, if you were fired today, how would you manage your finances from here? Number 5, identify the things that you are putting off or avoiding out of fear. Okay. Number 6, by avoiding these things, is it costing you, whether this be financially, emotionally, or physically? Okay, so, and number 7, what are you waiting for? Okay, so fear management is very important because it prevents you from advancing in your goals in life. So, moving on, now we're going to talk about rest and eliminate. Tim Ferriss used the concept of dreamlining. Okay. Okay. It's a dreamlining, which means you consider your dreams, and planning, it's a combination of the two words, okay, to fulfill them. So basically making a plan to fulfill your dreams. Number 1, there are dreamlining is different from goal setting in 3 ways. Okay. Number 1, the goal shift from ambiguous wants to defined steps. Number 2, the goal have to be unrealistic to be effective. And number 3, it focuses on activities that will fill the vacuum created when work is removed. Living like a millionaire requires doing interesting things and not just owning enviable things. Okay. So now I'm gonna talk about Tim's guide to creating your dream life. Number 1, what would you do if there were no way you could fail? If you were 10 times smarter than the rest of the world? You need to write it down in a short term, and which is the 1 to 6 months, and in the longer term, 12 months. You need to add 5 things that you dream about. Okay. So basically write it down in the short term and the long term. Okay, so number 2, if you're drawing a blank, Think of what would you do if you have $100 million. How would this affect your dreams? So this gonna inspire you to think of your dreams. Okay. Number three. What does being entail doing? Convert each being into a doing to make it actionable. Identify an action that would characterize the state of being or a task that would mean you have achieved it. So translate it to actions, okay? Number four, what are the four dreams that would change it all? Identify four key dreams and consider how they're gonna change your life, okay? Number five, determine the cost of these dreams and calculate your target monthly income for both timelines. So you need to monetize it. That is to figure out how much money it's gonna actually cost, so you can make a valid goals, okay, and that it would be doable, okay. So once you have your monthly figure out, you need to divide it by 30. So that is your target daily income. So that's the amount of money you need to make in one day to achieve these goals, okay? Easy. Okay. Number six, determine 3 steps for each of the 4 dreams in just a 6-month timeline and take the first step now. So basically, break it down, okay, and start acting upon them immediately. The very second you do it, you need to take one action. This way, you'll get momentum and actually start doing things instead of just dreaming about it. Okay. So now we're gonna talk about elimination. Okay. Now I'm gonna talk about effectiveness and efficiency. Okay. We're gonna talk about the way to be more effective, basically. So there is the Pareto principles, the 80-20 rule. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about 4 examples of it. 80% of the output results from 20% of the input. That's the most recognizable, okay? Which basically means only 20% of the stuff you're actually doing are effective for 80% of your results, okay? So 80% of the consequences flow from 20% of the causes. It works with everything, okay? 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort and time. 80% of the profits comes from 20% of the products and customers. And 80% of all stock markets gains are realized by 20% of the investors. Okay. Okay, there is another law besides the Pareto principle. It's called Parkinson's law, which means a task is important according to the time you allot to do it, okay? So basically, if you give a task 24 hours to complete it, it forces you to execute on it. So you gotta make an immediate deadline for the most important stuff that you want to get accomplished. And that way, it's more likable that you're gonna complete it, and in a better manner than if you delayed it over, spread it over a week timeline, for example. So in order to increase your productivity, make sure you use the Pareto principle, which means you limit the task to the important one to shorten the work time. Okay. And the second one is the Parkinson law. You shorten your work time to limit tasks to the important. Now I'm gonna talk about team keys to having more time is really just doing less. So you need to ask yourself if you have had another attack and had to work 2 days, hours. Sorry. If you had a heart attack and had to work 2 hours per day, what would you do? Also, you can use the Pareto in here. What the 20% of the people who produce 80% of your enjoyment. Okay. That's for the people who wanna hang out with. Okay. Also, you can ask yourself, are you inventing things to do to avoid the important stuff that you need to get done? Okay. Let's move on. Now we're gonna talk about interruptions, time wasters. Okay. Time wasters. I'm gonna give some examples. Email is the most significant interruption in the workplace. So you're gonna minimize the emails you send and the one you read. Okay, check your email 2 times a day. Screen any phone calls you receive. Okay. Now I'm gonna talk about time consumers. So wait until you have plenty of emails and batch them with the stuff you need to do. And this way you don't waste time to check them out throughout the entire day. Okay, let's move on. Now I'm gonna talk about automation, automating everything. Okay, you need to get a remote personal assistant, but when the time is right. Okay, it frees up your time to work on other things and gives you the opportunity to practice giving orders. Okay. It's not time consuming and it's low cost and low risk. Okay. So I'm gonna continue with the stuff that's relevant to this stream. Okay. Autopilot. You need the product to sell. Okay. That either downloadable or shippable in order to help you eliminate the limitations of a per hour-based model. So if you want to get out of the rat race, okay, you need to get paid while you're not working. Okay, that means something that is either downloadable or shippable according to routine. Okay, you first need to find the market, understand who the customer is, and create a product for them. You need to brainstorm products. Okay. This stuff I'm gonna let you buy the book and read. Okay, I'm not gonna copyright this stuff. It's not fair. Okay. All the stuff that I'm reading is a summary of the stuff that I made for myself. So it's not everything in the book, of course. You should buy the book. It's good. Now testing. You need to micro test your product. The best thing to do is identify what the competition is. You need to make a more compelling offer than the others out there. Okay. Let's move on. One second. Okay, the first part of the stream is now go and live your life. Escaping the office. TIM has 5 steps that gravitate towards full-time remote work. Basically, TIM says that if you're gonna work from home or from a remote place, you can use the Pareto principles and do the work in the 20% of the time and get the same results, and the other time you get to complete your goals in life. Okay, fun goals, whatever you want. Step 1, increase investment. Get the company to invest in some training for you, so the cost of losing you is greater. So that means that they won't let you off. Step 2, prove increased output off-site. Call in sick, work from home, and make it super productive day. So let the boss know that you work better when you are away from the workplace. Step 3, prepare the quantifiable business benefits. Prepare results so you can show the quantifiable benefit you gain from working at home. It's the same like the previous one, okay? Step 4, propose a revocable trial period. Start with 1 day. Okay, that means you're gonna ask for 1 day, and then as time goes on and the boss see that you did a good job, ask for 2 days, 3 days, and so on, okay? Off work, that is, to work from home. And step 5, expand remote time. Gradually work up to multiple days at home. That's what I said. Okay, now I'm going to talk about quitting. If you quit, being fired isn't the worst thing in the world, okay? Because number one, it's not permanent. It doesn't mean that you never get a job again. Number two, you will still be able to pay your bills. The objective of Team's process is that you have cash flow prior to quitting your job. And number three, your resume isn't ruined forever. It's actually a point of difference on your resume, and you get more interviews because you stand out from the crowd. Now I'm gonna talk about mini retirements, how to get ready for them. Okay, number one, consider your assets and cash flow. Number two, identify your dream location. Choose a realistic location for mini retirement. Prepare for a trip. Okay, it's actually a great book. You should read it. Most of it, at least. The stuff that's written by Tim are great. The other stuff, not so much. Because he allowed his secretaries, if I'm not wrong, to write some chapters in it. So, Tim, stop threatening new rich mistakes. New rich is the people that the book is written for, okay? Losing sight of dreams and falling into work for work's sake. Number two, micromanaging and emailing to fill time. So this previous two means don't become busy just for the sake of being busy. Okay. Number three, handling problems your outsources or co-workers can handle. Number four, helping outsourcers or co-workers with the same problem more than once or with no crisis problems. Number five, chasing customers, sorry. Particularly unqualified or international prospects when you have a sufficient cash flow to finance your non-financial pursuits. Number six, answering email that will not result in a sale or that can be answered by a frequently asked question or autoresponder. These are all mistakes, yes, that you shouldn't do. Okay, that's why it seems bizarre when I read it. Number seven, walking where you live, sleep, or should relax. Not performing through 28 euros. Striving for endless perfection. So I remember Tim talks about 90% is enough, okay? You don't have to go to 100 when you work, okay? Because for the extra 10% that you invest, the outcome will be less significant, okay? So don't overdo it just to get it 100% done to your perfection. 90% sometimes it's plenty. Making non-time sensitive issues urgent in order to justify work. Viewing one product, job, or project as the end all and be all of your existence, and ignoring the social rewards of life. These are all the mistakes new rich people make. So to conclude, the conclusion, key takeaways. You need to be effective and efficient. Doing more and spending more time on tasks doesn't make them important. Avoid the interruptions, time wasters, time consumers, and empowerment failures. Automation and delegation is key. Find the market and the customer first when you want to create the product, and take mini retirements. That's about it. Okay. So if you want to take action, you need to create your dream line, identify how much of the current job you can automate, delegate, or eliminate, plan a mini retirement, and establish what you need to make it happen. And book it in. Put deadlines and stuff. Okay, thank you for watching. See you.